So you got access to all the things, right? Right. So basically, let me give you the introduction, and then we'll discuss about the complete project life cycle, how it works. I mean, how we are going to take up. Um, so when you look at it, as I said, it is a property and casualty insurance product. So for P&C, basically the transactional systems for a property and casualty thing. So there are various products, right? So basically, for when you talk about P&C insurance, to take care of their daily transactions like creating a policies, creating claims, and creating a billing and raising the invoices to the customers and everything. So now, olden days they used to use the mainframes, and now slowly the people have started using the other transactional systems, which is called as a guidewire. So now we are going to use a guidewire is our transactional system. From this, we are going to build our claim data mart or a policy data mart. So in this guidewire, basically we have three modules. One is called as a claim center, which will handle completely the claims, and another is called as a policy center. It helps to create the policies and everything, I mean, in the insurance terminology. And other one is a billing center, so to take care of the billing, like which customer has paid at what point of time and all those things. It will be there in the billing center. So there will be total three modules will be there. Yes, it's things which are there in the guidewire already. And along with this, there is another module, but in this project, it is not actually used. Okay. So when you look at the guidewire, and there are things like first best, and likewise there are a different transactional system. I mean, if you talk about facets, which is used for a claims handling and all. So likewise, there are a different transactional system where your PNC insurance carriers generally use. Okay, so this is this kind of a project. It's wherever the guidewire is being used, it is applicable. Okay, so it is more guidewire is more popular PNC insurance carrier, but they don't support your health insurance, or they don't support your life insurance and all those things. So it is specially dedicated for a claim center. I mean, specially dedicated for a PNC insurance. Okay. Now, see the need of this. Let's say there is a MIG is a company, or a MetLife. MetLife offers like a wide range of the services across the policies. I mean, they sell a lot of policies. I mean, basically within the PNC insurance, there are different type of businesses. I mean, different line of businesses, what you could say. Let's say you have automobile insurance is one, and the other one is the employee, I mean, employee insurance, which is called as like for a cyber crime and all. So that also they provide. And commercial insurance also they provide, commercial. And automobile, personal vehicle. I mean, it is, when I say automobile, under the automobile, it is personal vehicle can be insured, or even a company the automobiles also can be insured. So likewise, there are a different line of business. I'm going to show you like what are all the line of business which are covered by the the this guidewire basically. So there are about five to six marine, again, so for the people who work in submarines and all, right? So for them also they provide an insurance. Okay. And likewise, hospitality insurance. Likewise, there are different line of businesses which this guidewire supports. Okay. So now in this project, I mean, the a need for a project is that, or a purpose of the project. So I mean, the customer has actually assumed that customer has actually asked you to implement a claim data mart. Okay. So basically, the claim data mart, which we are going to implement, help them to analyze what are the losses, and the number of claims that are being raised, and it will also help them to understand, basically how many number of claims and what is the duration of resolving the claim, how long the claim was open. So all these kind of things they wanted to understand. Okay, so we're going to look at the need of the customer, but in a nutshell, this project is mainly aimed to build the data mart for a claim center team, so that they can do all the financial analysis, losses, and where they are actually losing the money, in which region the more claims are coming, whether how many fraudulent claims are there, or how many the actual genuine claims are there, and all those things they would like to analyze. So that's why the MetLife has actually asked us to implement a claim data mart for them. So basically, I'm going to explain you with a credential. So first of all, since we have this policy center, claim center, as well as a billing center, when you actually deploy, I mean, this is a guide wire when you deploy it, right? So it will be spread into three different schemas. I mean, basically in Oracle terminology it is three different schemas, but in basically when you talk about SQL Server, it is maybe a separate database itself. Okay, now our guidewire data, whatever we have, complete this transactional system is available in the three different database. We call them as, let's say in our case, it is CC user, where you have all the claims related data, and there is another database called as, let's say, PC user, where you have a complete you know policy related data, and the billing center, which is basically the billing related data which is available here. Now what we are going to do is, we will actually we need to build a data mart. So before we build a data mart, first we integrate all the incremental data into the staging area, right? So I'm just giving you the high level architecture here. Okay, so staging area, and then we will actually put that data into ODS, maybe for a small operational reporting. I mean, for a claim center team, maybe if they want to do any operational reporting, we'll put that data into ODS. Maybe in this ODS, we can maintain about 3 years or 5 years of data. And then finally from ODS, we will load it into a small data mart. So, I mean, here we understand, right? So the data mart means, which is like a subset of the data warehouse. It is not a complete real data warehouse, right? So what we do is, here we have different tables like CC claim, CC note. Likewise, I mean, all the claim center related tables will be there, and here you'll have all the policy related table will be there. So PC policy, and maybe the PC transaction, I mean policy transactions, and PC line of business, likewise it will be there. And here you'll have all the billing related tables. So BC underscore, maybe the user who is actually there, or BC underscore customer, likewise you have all the billing related tables. So now our need is to build the data mart. So we'll pull the data from this claim center tables, and maybe the incremental data from policy center and the billing center. But as part of this implementation, we'll focus only on the claim center, because we are not touching a policy center, but we may be pulling some relevant data from a policy center. Okay, so here we'll use Informatica 9.6, right? Informatica 9.6 will be used, and we'll extract the data from this and put it into the staging area. So this staging area, it's we can define it as Oracle, and this is your SQL Server. Complete uh, data which we have, it is there in your SQL Server database. Okay, guidewire database completely, and complete this part of this data warehouse, we are going to build it in the, maybe you can build complete thing in Oracle database. Okay, so maybe I can just call this as a complete Oracle database, which we can use it. Okay, now here as part of the the project implementation, so we need to follow the complete life cycle. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. Okay, so from here again we use it. So let's say here so from Informatica 9.6, using this we have got the incremental data here, and here also we are going to use the Informatica 9.6. So basically that also will be loaded into ODS, and here also we'll use Informatica 9.6 and load it into your finally the data mart. Okay, so once you load the data into this data mart, right? So here we are going to use a Tableau for analyzing our reports. The reports could be again will be of a different graphs, right? So maybe which is, I mean, I'm just giving you a example here. Like a different reports will be developed within this, and we are going to use a Tableau for extracting the data from your data mart, and those Tableau data will be represented in reports, I mean dashboards and the reports. So here maybe you could say that Tableau 9.5 is used. Okay, Tableau 9.5 is used for generating reports. As you know, right, ETL developer responsibility is to integrate the entire data into data mart, and a BI developer will take care of your complete reporting within the Tableau. I mean, so this is overall technical architecture, you could say, and we have source data which is there in the SQL Server database. I mean, we'll understand the credentials, how to access that and all. Okay, this is your OLTP database what we have, and basically you also need to talk about the OLAP database. I mean, OLAP database is nothing but your data warehouse completely. So SQL Server, what credentials you need to use, basically we'll understand, and all your staging database and everything is present in a Oracle. Let's say Oracle 11G, we need to do that. So basically we are going to create three separate schemas, maybe the staging one schema and ODS another schema, and basically for the data mart you can have a separate schema altogether. Okay, so this is a overall thing, and let's take a look at how to log into this OLTP database, and let's take a look at how we can see these tables here. Okay, so I'm not talking about completely the how to design the tables and all. That will cover as part of a SDLC process. Okay, so before I talk about logging into your transactional system, so let's list down what steps we are going to perform as part of this project implementation exercise, right? So I'll assume that this SDLC model as a waterfall, because we don't conduct any Scrum calls or a Scrum Master. No one will be there. So let's consider it as a waterfall model. And first thing is to understand the business requirement. I mean, when I say business requirement, you need to understand what reports they would like to generate on a day-to-day basis, or what dashboards they would like to build. And when you're understanding the requirement from the business customer, so we need to understand in terms of, okay, what type of reports you want to generate, and all those things we need to understand, right? So basically it will help us to understand the measures and as well as your dimensions, and how many reports you want to develop, and how you want to see, what are the parameters, what filters you would like to apply. So all these kind of questions basically they ask. See, in general what happens is that before you build any kind of a data warehousing project, they might be doing maybe in some other tool, no, but not in Tableau, or they might be doing in Excel some kind of a report. So they basically understand how they're actually doing that existing work. I mean, if they're doing it manually also, maybe by exporting a data, manipulating it within the Excel, and then they might do pivot or convert into a bar graph. So these business analysts, what they do is they go and sit with the business users, understand how are you implementing it now, and how do you want. So basically they understand it, and these business requirement, I mean business analyst, analyst is the one who interacts with them. So they interact with them, and then they list completely basically the prototypes of the reports. It is not the actual report, but the prototype of a report, how it would like to be. I mean, say now I want to see the claim data, or a number of claims in a maybe a bubble graph, or you want to see the number of open claims versus closed claims in a bar graph, something like that. So they build a prototype, and finally they prepare a document called as a business requirement document. Okay, so let's take a look at that documentation. I mean, when you talk about FSD, or the TRD, or sometimes the people call it as a BRD and everything, so it is going to be the same. So let's talk about this requirement for a basically for a claim. They want to basically develop 5 dashboards as part of this 5 dashboards they would like to develop as part of this claim center implementation. So first, right, it is the understanding. Yes, so you need to understand the requirements from these prototypes. Yes. So first step for a developer or an architect is going to be this. Okay. So they now let's take a look at one dashboard. Okay. Claim center dashboard. When you look at it, so when you see this here, right, we'll take a look at the complete diagram. Okay. This is your wireframes. I mean, they're also called as a wireframes. When you look at it, this is your claim count summary. Okay, how many number of claims, what is the average cycle time, what is the productivity of a associate, and what is the average age, how many are closed versus how many are open, and what is the line of business. So these are the different line of businesses claims, workers compensation insurance, personal auto insurance, homeowners, general liability, and these are all the line of business analysis. And what is the cycle time? Less than 30 days, how many have been resolved? 30 to 90 days, how many are being resolved? Or 90 to this. And daily analysis, how many claims are closed versus open? Okay. And how many claims are with pay and without pay? I mean, some of the claims you need to pay the money from the, the insurance carrier has to pay. Otherwise, you basically have to see that. So this is the complete analysis. And what is the last state? I mean, these are the filters, and they can apply the line of business filter and all those things. So you need to basically go through the complete details of this and understand. This will actually help you to design a complete this will help you to design the complete data model. So even if you're missing one measure, if you're not capturing it in the data model, you can't represent. It's as simple as that. So basically our idea is to go through all these data marts. I mean, these are the different dashboards what we have, and we need to come up what measures are there in each fact table and how many fact tables we want to build, and what are all the dimensions, right? And basically that preliminary exercise we need to do basically as to implement the data model. So basically the first step is to understand the business requirement document. So here we have all the FSDs, functional specification documents, whatever we have. Okay. Now, when we look at this functional specification document, we have a prototypes of all the reports and go through all those prototypes of a reports, understand every measure and every dimension, and you need to translate that into a complete data model. So when you're translating into a data model, whether it could be basically the star schema or a snowflake schema, depending upon that you need to choose it. Okay, so that is the first step. The second step is to prepare a solution design document. So when you say solution design document, it is nothing but an architecture. Which architecture you want to go, whether you want to go for top down, bottom up, or a enterprise data warehouse architecture, or since you are defining a data mart, you may have to go for a distribution data mart kind of an architecture. So you need to define a complete architecture. In this SDD, we will define the complete technologies that we are using. I mean, what technology, which version of Tableau we are using, which version of Informatica we are using, where our Informatica server is installed, how the data is actually flowing. In the same way, the way what. Okay. See, the top down is more about building the data warehouse first and then building the data mart. That is called as a top down. So this approach is also called as a Billimon approach. Okay. Now, in this case, what we do is first we pull the data from all your transactional system, keep the data in the data warehouse in the normalized format itself. Then once you integrate the entire data into your data warehouse, from there we divide the data into different data marts. So that is your top down approach. Not stage, it's a warehouse itself. You may have a staging and ODS before that. denormalized data marts will be built as part of a top down. When you talk about bottom up approach, what it does, it first build the data marts and the denormalized structure. When you need, basically when you want to do the cross subject area reporting, then you combine them into a single data warehouse. So that is your bottom up, and it is also called as a Kimball approach, right? So this technology and data flow, how the data is flowing and what BI tool is used, what ETL tool is used, and how the data has to be extracted, everything will be mentioned in the solution design document. So this is nothing but your high level design document also. And once you're done, the third step is to define the data model, right? And fourth step is to define the STM document, as I said, right? STM. And fifth step is to, let's say, define the technical design document, or if it is agile, we don't define technical design document because the requirements keep changing. First we'll get started with the implementation, then we'll come back to the design. So that's, see, yeah, so in what happens in case of agile project, right? Till this it is finalized, then they break all these requirements into user stories. And I mean, first entire project will be divided into multiple iterations are nothing but your multiple sprints. Okay, each sprint will contain a different user stories could be, okay, loading of or implementing the staging ODS data mart mapping for a claim table. So that will be the iteration one, and maybe some other user stories also we can add. There will be a 10 or 5 6 developers will be there, so we will add some more user stories. And for each user story you'll have a separate task. Again, within the user story you'll have a separate task, wherein in that task again, for each task against that, what is the effort that is required, they will build that in a tool. So for tracking this agile project management and all, we use tools like Rally or Jira, right? Or you can use even HPALM. These are the tools. So as a developer, when you get started with a project, they define what tasks are actually defined for you, and what is a start date and what is the end date, and how many hours you need to spend on that task. Each and everything will be done by in relation with your technical lead and the scrum master, product owners, and the, so they define the priority of the tasks, and all those things will be put into iteration. So each iteration will go for maybe about 4 to 5 weeks, and every day there will be a call, and you need to talk about what you have done in the last 24 hours and what you're going to do in the next 24 hours. And do you have any challenges or to face, or do you have any dependencies from someone to complete it? So all these kind of things you need to discuss in the scrum call. So there will be a scrum master who will drive the call and understand from each and every board member, or the developer or a tester. They understand where are you, how you're progressing, and if you're actually uh, exceeding the amount of hours that are already being defined, why it is happening. So all those things they will track it in that tool itself. And at any point of time, if I want to understand what is a burned hours versus actual hours, I can generate even a reports within this. So that and all will be handled by the scrum master. So this is your technical design document you need to come up, and then the build phase. So build or a development phase. And seventh step is about, once the build is, everything is done, you need to do the unit testing, I mean whether the records are syncing and all that. And eighth step is again migration to the QA environment. And here you'll have separate teams who will involve in testing your ETL code and the BI code, whatever is being developed by the BI developer. And the 10th step, once they approve, then we migrate to the production. And here also we'll schedule the jobs. Once you migrate to the QA, we may schedule the jobs here as well, because every day the data has to be integrated. Your testers and all, they go to guidewire transactional system, create some claims and see whether that is being syncing in the claim data mart or not. So all those things. So here also we'll schedule the jobs, and again we'll talk about how to schedule the jobs and all. So migrate into the prod, and then here you schedule, and your actual business user will start generating a reports from here. So these are the steps which we are going to follow. So we are at a step one now. We need to first understand the complete business requirements, and I'm going to pass you all those dashboards. So you have to analyze and come back with your, basically what are all the measures that they would like to do, and how you see some of them may not be I mean, we are not going to capture all of them as a direct. I mean, some of them are like a derived measures also. See, if I have to calculate open claims, right, I don't need to really store that number, because that open claims will change from a day to day basis. You need to come up with a structure where I can capture open claims, closed claims, and everything in the same table of that sort. Okay. And you need to also you should be also be able to decide how many fact tables we need. All of them we can't capture in the single fact table, and you need to understand the grain of the fact table, what you would like to keep and everything. So that is pretty much the important thing. So you need to go to each and every dashboard and come back with your steps. Okay. So that is the first step. So for let's talk about meanwhile, I mean, it is also good if you can go through the transactional system data model, because that gives you the complete understanding of where a claim table is there. And if I want to understand whether the claim is closed or open, which attribute I need to look at, or if I want to understand the claim location where that claim is actually raised from. Okay. And whether it is a fraudulent claim or this, what are the claim attributes basically, and how much what is the policy premium that is actually being defined for that. So all those things, if you want to understand, you need to get into the transactional system data model. You need to start querying those tables, understand what is the relationship from one table to the other table, all that. So in order to access this SQL Server database, as Nikesh might have shown you yesterday, so you need to log into this 84 box. Okay. And in this 84 box, we have a SQL Server database which is installed. In that, you can basically understand from. I think it is. Okay, this is your SQL Server, Windows SQL Server 2002 database. Okay, so I can log into this SSMS. SSMS is called as a SQL Server Management Studio, which is already installed here. So if you go, okay, so don't need to log in using Windows authentication. You can go by the SQL Server Authentication only. And there is a user called as an infraread, and this password I think Nikesh already communicated to you. So you can just connect to this infrared, and this will help you to access. Okay, I think it's not the one. So you can log into this infrared schema. Generally, you may have right. So you may have these are three databases are there: GWPC, GWBC, GWCC. So we are more focused on GWCC. You can go and maybe if you just want to query I mean, you can just open the new SQL worksheet and understand from this like what are the different tables we have, all that. Okay. So here you'll have a lot of tables. Maybe if you want to understand the activities of the claim, you can go for it. If you want to understand the location of the claim, CC address table. And if you want to understand about check, if the check is being issued for the claim, that check details will be available here. And if you want to understand the complete claim itself, you can query all these. I mean, from this, let's say if I want to understand, there is already the data. If you want to know about CC claim, right, all the claim related data will be there. And the claim contact is nothing but whom do you need to contact for this claim. I mean, the contact details of the claim will be there. And claim information, if you want to go more in details, you can go for CC claim. And CC contact, contact address, contact info, CC coverage. Under that claim, what coverages that they're claiming, and what is the limit of each coverage, that you can understand from here. And likewise, you need to basically try to establish the complete relationship at your this OLTP. So you need to query. I mean, if I want to know complete list of policies, for if there is a policy, then only you can claim, right? It's not like you can claim without having a policy with a company. So this is a policy. So for each, there will be a relationship between again a policy and a claim, maybe based on the policy number. No, it's not available. So again, CC policy, CC claim. I mean, if you want to understand the relationship between these, you probably can Google it to understand what is a claim center entities. So from that claim center entities, you can understand what is how the policy starts, how the claim starts, and under the you need to understand the complete life cycle of the claim, how claim starts in a insurance carrier and how it will be closed, and what are all the activities done by the agents during that process. So everything you need to capture from that, right? So these are the claim center tables. And for basically for your staging and all those things, you can ask them to create a new schemas, or I think if the schemas are already available, then probably you can use those schemas. I think there are someone has implemented this project some time ago. So they have created all those schemas. So you can use the same schemas, or if those schemas are not available, you can probably create new schemas. I'm just logging in to check whether we have any schemas related to that. Okay. Um, Maybe I'm just checking. Oh, okay. I think there is. So you have this GW, EDW, GW ODS, GW stage. Okay, this schema you can use for creating a staging tables, and this schema you can use for ODS tables, and this schema, I mean, you can have all the data mart related tables in this. So I'll send you the username and password for this. Most probably this is the same username and password could be same. I'm going to let's try this. GW underscore stage, and yeah, it's the same. So same way, you can use these three: one for creating the staging tables, and one for um, this and all. So this is your Oracle credentials, and the Unix. I think he might have provided you like what credentials, how you need to log in and all that. So that is where your Informatica server is available. Okay, so now I'll send you these all the functional documents, and you go through that and come up with a, maybe at the initial level first you can come up with the entity relationship model. So first thing is to understand, I mean, in order to understand some of the terminology, you might need to first understand the claim center cycle. Okay, so your activities may be on a broader note. To do that, the first one is understand the claim center entities and the life cycle. Claim center entities, I mean, the guidewire claim center entities, you need to understand what will be the relationship, what are all the entities and everything you need to understand, and the complete, yeah. for a guide wire. You can Google it and understand. And the second thing is to understand all those prototypes, understand the complete prototypes, and come up with a, I mean, the basically you need to build the data model. So that building the data model, first you can prepare a entity relationship model and see how many facts, how many dimensions you're getting, and based on that you can go and capture the individual attributes. So you need to come up with a LDM as well as a PDM. So LDM stands for a logical data model, PDM stands for a physical data model. So the third step, I mean, maybe to build the data model, you can go for Erwin, or if you know any other tool as well, you can do that. So you can download Erwin community edition from the Erwin website, CA website, and then you can start using the Erwin tool. No, it's a community edition is free, but licensed version is also there. So you can download that and get started with it. Right. So these are the three things. I mean, it will potentially take 3 days because you need to understand the complete stuff. I mean, when we say here LDM, PDM, it is not only at the data mart level. You should also build the staging data model. You should build the ODS data model, and you must have a data mart data model. So 3 data models should be built. All the staging table should be built, and all the ODS table should be built, and all the data mart data model should be built. So you build a separate data model for each of them. For a staging, you should have a separate file, and for a ODS, you should have a separate file, and the data mart, you should have a separate file. Right? Maybe we can take a look at the claim data mart star schema or something. You'll have a lot of examples maybe over the internet as well. So driver information, location, time, and automotive, and then the claim information they have. So likewise you can have a different dimensions also. This is not the one. So claim center. So there is something called as an observation fact which they have defined. I mean, this is for health insurance. Patient dimension they have, vital dimension they have, and provider information, who is a health insurance provider and all. Hmm. So you can even check, the Guidewire Claim Center star schema. There is a Guidewire also has a product called as a data hub. So from that also you can understand. I mean, if there are any images, basically if somebody has kept those kind of images, you can see. I mean, these are all the different dimension, and you'll have a fact table. All the primary keys of dimensions will be taken here and all that. So you need to do a lot of homework before you get started, and you need to come up with either a star schema. You build a star schema, not a snowflake. So because that would be easier, and search for it. Right?